Whoa, whoa, whoa! Oh, yeah, that's not good. Yeah, that's not good. Everyone's looking. Everyone knows. They're like, what happened? Carbon fiber. Oh my God, why?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he's pissed. He's pissed. Yeah. I'm gonna go cry for about 5 minutes and then we'll be back. Well, as you guys can tell by the thumbnail and the title, we now have a crunchy taco on our hands. So in this video, I want to go over the story of how it happened, the condition of the truck as it sits right now, and go over potential plans that different routes I can go with the rebuild here. So let's get into all this. So essentially what happened is Sunday at King of Hammers, we were on like one last trail run before we loaded up to go out, and we were sort of in a convoy line. We came up to that big wash that you have to cross the bridge over to get into King of Hammers. And as we were about to drop in, the person in the front realized we picked a spot that was a little too steep to go in. So the person in the front decided to do a little U-turn and go around. The person in front of me decided to go in reverse, not knowing that I was directly behind him, and just a quick little boop. Luckily, it was nothing too aggressive to where it went all the way in and hit the radiator, but we'll go over all the damage there. So yeah, essentially it was just somebody backing up into me while I was stopped. I posted a story of the whole front end ripped off, not knowing that it looked worse than it actually was, and I had like 50 plus messages by the end of the day asking if I was okay, because everybody thought that I like lawn darted or went looking for a penny and just completely blew my front end out. That's not the case, luckily. So yeah, that's the story of how it happened. It wasn't anything really cool, unfortunately, but you know, accidents happen. So let's go ahead and take a look at the damage here. So the photo I post was how the truck sits now, like this, but this is not how the truck sat when I got backed into. The bumper was still on and somewhat attached. The fender flare was still on, and as you can see, it is untouched. But we were halfway through our desert ride, and I noticed that the bumper was like sort of half hanging on, sort of half not, so I decided to just take the whole thing off so I didn't have to deal with it falling off or getting snagged while off-roading. And with the fender here, you could see that it like bows out in the middle and is pushed in on the front end. So I decided to just take this off because the fitment in the lineup just looked really wonky. So I took that off, and rode the rest of the day like this. I might have a picture of how it was before I ripped everything off. If I do, I'll throw it up here. But essentially, this back bumper sort of lined up to right about here in this range. So when it went back, it pushed in, and everything above it pulled it down and in, everything below it pushed it up and in. So it was kind of just tacoed and folded in right there. So what I think the worst of it is that this core support is kind of smoked. This part is bent up more straight than it was. It was pulled down and we just kind of muscled it back because this is really flimsy and easy to flex. Right here you could see it just kissed it and just punctured it straight in. Now the body mounts are kind of tweaked inside here. So sorry, Riley, Slaughterhouse Performance. I just took this in to get this whole core support welded up, and now it's just gone. This tab right here that goes into the bumper was bent all the way up, I believe. We bent it back down. And initially I thought that the crash bar was unaffected and untouched at all, but I think it barely got nicked right here in this corner. Because yesterday I noticed that there is a fracture right here. And on this side, it's a little bit bigger, fracturing all the way down there. As you can see, the headlight got absolutely smoked. The whole inside of the housing is cracked. The whole outer housing is just missing completely. Well, not missing. I have it in the front seat, but headlight's smoked. It is angled downward. So at night, I'm having a very hard time seeing out of the right side. The headlight still works. It's just angled down a lot compared to where it's supposed to be. And as you can see here, the bumper kissed right here, tacoed it in, pulled the whole thing down, which is causing this gapping right here, pushed it in, causing it to bow out right here. I sort of hammered the bottom in to get it a little more flat and a little more flush. But yeah, luckily I don't think the hood was touched at all, other than the fact that it's connected to the headlight, so it's pulling it up a little bit and it's getting some rubbing right there on the top. The hood looks unaffected. I think this gapping is purely just from the fender being pulled away from it. So these two components are good. Headlight's not, fender's not, core support's not, crash bar is iffy. So yeah, if we come down and look at the bumper here, the whole insert here is, I don't think it's broken. I think it just kind of popped all the clips out, but it's super popped out on this side and pushed back on that side. I think a lot of the mounting points might have either cracked or broke. Right here you can see it's cracked. This one completely came off right here. There's not even like a part for it to grab onto anymore. So yeah, that's what I mean by it was half on, half off. If you look on the back side of this side of the bumper where it actually got hit, it is completely cracked on the back side. You can see all the stress points of where it was hit. Luckily, the fog lights are okay for the most part. This one, the wiring harness ripped apart. That one, we just unplugged simply, so the fog lights are salvageable. Bumper's kind of smoked, but the fender flares and the extensions on both sides are pretty good, minus this little rashing right here. But what I'm mostly thankful about in this situation is that nothing major was affected, like the suspension or the radiators or anything in the engine bay. You know, it wasn't that hard of a hit, but it was enough momentum and force and a well-built bumper that it did all this external damage. So now that leads us to the very, very interesting, unique opportunity of what do we do when rebuilding the truck. Now, if you guys avidly follow the channel and follow the build or follow me on Instagram, you will know that I literally just finished the version 2 like 2 weeks ago or a week ago. And I said I wasn't going to start on version 3 for maybe a year or two. I was going to sit on version 2, enjoy it, let it ride out, feel it out, and just have fun with it. But we might be jumping into the version 3 now. So let's go ahead and talk over all of our different options we can do with this. In my mind, I have 3 different ways I can go about rebuilding this, all of which include fixing the core support and getting all this internal stuff figured out first. So for all 3 of these options, just know that that would be fixed. But version 1, I go ahead and just rebuild it exactly how it was before. Get a new stock bumper, throw it on. Get a new stock headlight, throw it on. Get a new stock fender, throw it on. And boom, call it a day. That way it'll just go back to like it was before, act like nothing happened, and I can enjoy the version 2 finishing stage that I left off on and get to enjoy it for some time. But let's look at the other 2 options. Option number 2 in my mind would be, let's go ahead and start that 3.0 version that I thought my next step would be in about a year, which is going ahead and making a custom tube pre-runner front bumper for it, getting 2-inch McNeil fiberglass for both sides. And the headlights, I've never really considered throwing in some bougie aftermarket headlights, so either doing the same exact OEM ones or just like a slight little upgrade like a black housing or something, you know, nothing crazy. So that would be option 2, going ahead and starting that version 3 build a little bit earlier than I thought, doing the plan that I've had for some time with this build, which is keep it mid-travel, try to keep going on the journey of building the best mid-travel you can, doing the 2-inch glass, getting a tube style front bumper and calling it a day. But unique opportunities might have arose that could send us into a third option, which I had not considered anywhere near in the future, if at all, for this truck. So option 3, which I think is the most reckless option for the state I'm in right now, would be to go ahead and pull the trigger on a Dirt King long travel kit, pulling about 13 inches of travel in the front, which would then force me to go ahead and upgrade to 35-inch tires, which then forces me to upgrade from 16s to 17-inch wheels, and then instead of a 2-inch fiberglass, do a 4-inch fiberglass with a custom tube front bumper and some sort of headlight replacement. So option 3 is a little outlandish because I don't know, I've never considered long travel on this truck for the simple fact that I want to keep it a daily driver. I want to buy a second off-road dedicated vehicle and just go crazy with that build and just keep this one as a normal truck to get around town, you know? I don't want to keep dumping money into it. But like I said, certain things arose that might allow me to go ahead and go down that path. But at the same time, like I said, I just want to get a dedicated off-road vehicle and keep this one practical. I don't want to keep dumping money into it, especially because it's getting up there in years and in miles. So those are my 3 options right now. Again, I'm not sure which path I'm going down quite yet. This is all fairly new. I just finished processing it all and sort of working through all the what ifs. So that's where I'm at right now, guys. Again, it's never fun getting into a little fender bender, never fun getting into an accident, but it does present some unique opportunities, and for me to potentially get a jump on either the version 3 I planned or a version 3 that I never even had planned for. So I invite you guys to go ahead and subscribe. Stay tuned to the channel because this next week or two, or maybe even month or two, I'm going to be undergoing a rehab of the truck, of the front end, the appearance altogether, and I want you guys to come along for the journey, and let's see what happens, boys. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to everybody who reached out to check and see if I was okay, and I hope you guys enjoy the next month or two of content we have coming out wrapped around this rebuild. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.
Welcome to my party, we're just getting started. A life is a dream or a nightmare scarring. Hand me a drink, cause I think I'm going all in. Get me a shrink who can